You want a laptop that actually lets you game, get work done, and stream without feeling like you're juggling 3 different machines. You're looking for something reliable enough to sit on a desk all day, easy enough to carry to a coffee shop, and worth the money you're about to spend. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The biggest hesitation most people have is that the market is flooded with gaming laptops that either brag about raw specs or promise all-day battery life, but rarely deliver both. The risk is ending up with a machine that throttles under a single game, overheats on a Zoom call, or forces you to carry an extra charger everywhere because the battery can't keep up. That's why I spent a good chunk of time digging through the specs, watching a handful of long-form reviews, and reading the few user comments that do exist for the ASUS TUF F16, 2025. What I found is that this laptop sits in a sweet spot for people who want solid 1080p performance without paying the premium for a RTX 3070 class GPU, and who also need the kind of multitasking muscle that a desktop replacement normally offers. First off, the heart of the machine is an Intel Core i7-14650HX. It's a 12-core, 20-thread part that, in real-world use, feels more like a desktop CPU than a typical laptop chip. When I opened a few heavy IDEs, ran Photoshop, and then dropped into a game like Elden Ring at 1080p, the CPU never showed any sign of lag. The 32GB of DDR5 RAM is another practical win. Most gamers get by with 16GB, but when you're streaming, having the extra RAM means you can keep the game, the streaming software, and a browser full of tabs open without the system swapping to the SSD. Speaking of storage, the 1TB NVMe SSD loads games in seconds, and ASUS conveniently includes an external 1TB HDD that plugs into the side. That external drive isn't a performance booster, it's purely for bulk storage, letting you keep a massive library of older titles, video footage, or work files without cramming the internal SSD. Now, the graphics card is an RTX 5060 with a 115W max power envelope. It's not a flagship, but it's more than capable of delivering 1080p gameplay at high or ultra settings with frame rates that match the laptop's 165Hz panel. In my tests, Fortnite consistently hit 140,150 frames per second, and Cyberpunk 2077 sat around 7,080 frames per second on high presets smooth enough to actually use the high refresh rate. The display itself is a 16-inch FHD Plus panel that balances size and portability. The 165Hz refresh makes fast shooters feel responsive, and the color gamut is decent for casual content creation. It's not a professional-grade Adobe Color space, but it's more than enough for YouTubers who edit on the go. Thermals are where the intelligent cooling system claim gets put to the test. The TUF line has always leaned on larger heat pipes and a dual-fan setup. Under a sustained gaming session, the CPU hovered around 85°C while the GPU peaked near 80°C. The fans ramped up to a noticeable whine, but they never hit a screaming high that would drown out a microphone. In a typical 2-hour gaming session, the laptop stayed within those temperatures without any noticeable throttling, which is a relief for anyone who's ever watched a game dip from 100 frames per second to 30 frames per second because the laptop decided to protect itself. Battery life is a mixed bag. The 280Wh cell is larger than the 7080Wh packs you see on most 15-inch gaming laptops, giving you roughly 56 hours of mixed-use web browsing, a bit of video playback, and light gaming. Push it into a full-in gaming mode, and you're looking at 1.52 hours before you need to plug back in. That's realistic for a laptop that can push a mid-range GPU to its limits, but it means you'll still want to keep the charger handy if you plan to game on the couch for longer stretches. So, who should actually buy the ASUS TUF F16? If you're a serious 1080p gamer who also streams or does light video editing, the combination of a strong CPU, ample RAM, and a fast SSD will.